Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you're new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
We have four different type of status. We have four different type of journey status: running, stop and finishing in draft. Now let's go through each of the status one by one. What happens whenever we create a new journey? It is always in a draft status. The version that we have of the journey, it is in the draft status where we can make the changes, where we can, add the journey and things like that. Now, after that, what we do, we basically let me go to a draft version first of all. This is a draft version where we can make the changes, where we can make any edits, and we save the journey and we validate, we check whether there are any issues or not. And then we click on Activate button to activate the generate. Once the journey is activated, let me see. If all the generate stopped right now, when the journey is activated, it will basically, the system will change the strategy of the journey to running. Now in the running journey, we cannot make any changes and it is not editable. Let's do one thing. Let's save the journey and then we will activate the journey. And then we will see. Journey is activated and here we can see the status of the journey has been changed to running. Now, once we have the running journey, we don't have the option to make any changes. And we also get one more option to create a new version. New version basically helps us to make any modifications or any changes in the journey. This is your second status running. Let's say we have the journey and first one we have talked about is a draft. Now let's see if I want to stop the journey. I don't want these. Let's say we have made some. We have activated the journey. But for some reason we see that there is a mistake in the journey and we don't want the customers to go through the series of activities because there's a mistake, right? What we can do, we can basically stop the journey, or let's say the journey we have rectified in the new version, or maybe there's a new version that we have created which is more enhanced and we want, we want the context to go to that particular journey but not this. And then what we can do, we can stop this journey. How we can stop this? Here, either we can pause the journey. If you, let's say, process the journey, then we have to mention pause expiration. It will. The pause period will expand it, set upon this, and it will automatically resume the journey. Or if you don't want, we can also stop the journey after this many days. Or if we immediately want to stop the journey, then we can go ahead and click on Stop this version. It will stop the journey. This is what we already have seen, that how we can stop the journey. Now there's one more status, that is finishing status. Now, what is the meaning of finishing? Let's say we create a new version. Let me get a new version. Now version 6 is in my draft status. It means here I can make the changes, version 5 running. It means that the contacts or the data is coming into this running version and the contacts are going through the activities and things like that. Now let's say if let's see, if I activate the version 6 without stopping the version 5, then what will happen? My version 6 will become running version because I'm activating this version, but I have not stopped the earlier version. What it will do, it will basically change the status of version 5 to finishing. Let's do that and then we will understand like how exactly it is going to impact us. Let me just activate this. Let me just activate this. It is saying that if you activate, the draft will become, your current active or your running journey, and people who qualify will enter this version and things like that. Let's click on activate now. Click on return to journey. And here we can see that the version 5 has become the finishing version and version 6 is now running version. Now there could be two possibilities. Let's say you have this journey right now. Let's say there is a slight modification that you want to do earlier. Earlier you were sending the email communication, but now you are also sending SMS. Now you also want to send SMS to customers, right? What you do, let's say you include SMS also in your journey. Now, but let's say there are already hundreds of customers who are in your journey. Let's say we had this version number 5, right? Version number 5 is the version of the journey in which we only have the email activity. Now the customers are coming to this version and they are receiving only the email. Now what we have done, we have created version 6 in which we had made slight modifications, like we have included the SMS activity as well. Now customers will be receiving the SMS. What we have done is, but what we want to do is that the customers who are already there in the journey in version 5, we want these customers to continue their journey normally. We don't want to remove those contacts from the version 5, but the new contacts, new customers who are going to come to the journey, they will come to version 6 and then they will receive email and SMS. In finishing means that the customers who are in the journey, they are in the finishing. Is it like they are finishing their normal flow or normal journey flow? They are completing their entire journey as usual as the journey is developed. Now the new customers will come to the version 6. Now, in case of a scratch happens, stop what? Let's say if we stop the journey, the customers that we have inside the journey, let's say we have multiple activities, right? Let's say we have multiple activities in the journey. Now the customer enters and let's say there is the activity number 1. Now, if we stop the journey automatically, immediately all the customers and all the contacts who are in the journey, they will be ejected from the journey, like the moment you stop the journey, because the intention behind the intention, behind the intention, behind the intention, behind the intention, behind the stopping the journey is that we have stopped the journey right, and that we don't want the customers to go through this journey and they will be ejected. But if we start a new version, if we activate the new version without stopping the previous version, it means we don't want the customers in the previous version of the journey to be ejected, but we want the customers to continue their journey normally and the new customers will continue their journey in the new version. Any doubts far? If we pause the journey, the contacts who are in the middle of the journey will go through the floor. They will come out of the journey and they will be ejected into new version. How it will work? When you pause the journey, what will happen? Like you have not stopped it right. The customers will be there, but they will not be, continuing their journey. Once the journey is resumed, let's say you resume the journey, right? Let's say after a week, right? Then they will continue their journey. Or if you stop the journey, then they will be ejected from the journey. Rahul, if we stop the journey, every contact will be come out of the journey. If you pause, then they will stop at that point again. When we start the journey, they will continue that flow. Thank you. Thank you, Rahul. The current journey is running and we created the new version and also we started that. Like can both like work or how it goes. That's what we had done. Version 5 was already running and we had activated the new version, that is version number 6. At any given point of time, there can only be one running version. We cannot have multiple running versions. When we activate the new version, the previous version will automatically be changed into finishing. At any given point of time, there could be only one running version. And we can have as many as a stopped version, and the stopped version basically eject all the contacts and does not accept any new record, right? In the running journey, there would be new customers. Obviously, in finishing, like the existing customers will be there in the journey. They will be finishing their journey, but new contacts will not enter into the journey, and in the draft version, obviously the customers will not enter into the journey. But here we can make the changes and any other version also. In any other status of the journey, we cannot make any changes. Now let's talk about the journey versions. Why do we create the version? If you want to make any changes, any modification, then let's say this is the version right now. If you want to make some changes, and we can create a new version, and in the new version, we can make the changes. A new draft version enables us to make the changes. And we cannot make the changes in the running journey. When a new version is created, is always in a draft status. At any given point of time, we can only have one version of journey that is in running status. And we can only have one draft version of the journey. We cannot have multiple versions of the journey in the draft status. We can only have one. A content like that. Let's say if you stop the journey and the customers are excited or let's say are rejected from the journey, they will not enter into the new version. The customers that are there in a particular version, they will remain there or they will be ejected, but they cannot move to another version of the journey. This is what we already have seen. This is about the versions and the status of the journey. Now let's move forward. We have the journey analytics. Journey analytics basically shows us about the analytical report about the email activity that we have in journey. Since we had not any email activity, it won't show anything over here. Let me see. Different tracking metrics like how many emails actually sent or the delivery rate. Unique open same kind of information we can also access through the email is to do right. The similar report we get over here, unique opens, clicks and subscribes and things like that. Here we can mention the date range. Let me go all today, let's say last 90 days. Maybe the data in that we have selected, maybe the activity was not created in that particular. We don't know when it was created. But this is the date filter that you can apply also when you include email activity in your journey. You also get some of the analytical report over here that you can access to see how many actually the emails was sent and what is the click rate, open it and things like that. You have this email analytics if you want to check for particular image, and this journey analytics will talk about the entire journey. Now here we can see that the sent delivery, click open bounces and not send attempt since not sent rate. This is generally helpful. Let's say you're sending the email to 2,000 customers and our 1,000 customers, there's a few customers could not receive the email. Here we can check like not sent a data that how many customers the email could not be delivered, and here we can also check the delivery date and everything. Also you can click on view details over here, and here you get the detailed analysis about the forward to a friend, unengaged and performance. The similar kind of report that we access to the email is to do, but it is more visualized in. It gives us more visualization in the context. Also, it shows us the different contacts to whom the email was sent. And we can basically go to different section to see the contacts who opened the email, the contacts who clicked on the link in the email, the contacts for whom the email was passed, and things like that are. You can see that in the email is a link, the email is a link in the email is a link in the email. And then if you come to the history tab from here, it will give you the history of all the journeys, and there you can make a filter and filter the history based on some journey or contact. Let's say if you click on the journey history over here, it will take us to this tab with the filter. Equals to like event is equals to this or journey is equals to this, things like that. We already have one journey. I'll show you over there. Here we can see that the corner history basically tells us about the different contacts who entered into the journey and what all they did. What are the different activities they went through? When they entered into the journey and everything. Let me just hide this section. Here we can see, let's say for tests all in one. Now, if you only want to filter or if you only want to see the history related to tests all in one, we can also use a filter. Let's say where contact key is tests all in one. it will give me the history of test lol1 who entered into this particular journey, and we can see the different activities that it interacted with, like decision split trigger, random split weight activity, and these activities. The activities that you will not be able to see. I mean, other things like that, right? These are the back end activities which are not there on the start activity and things like that. And we also have the time now, how it is helpful in terms of troubleshoot. Let's say we are expecting that this content, should go through the different activities of the journey right now. Here, we also have the status like contact attempted complete and things like that. Now let me see if we have something called failed or something like that. Right, generally what happens? Let's say if you're expecting this customer to go through this email activity, and we will check for this particular customer, and the status, let's say, will be filled for particular contact. Let's say status the failed ones. For this one, we don't have any, but let me check for the entire journey, like from all the journeys. If we have any record where we have to fail, you can see that generally it is the email activity where we get the failed status. This was the contact, let's say test 1004. In this particular journey, and this contact came to this activity. Email nourish per day offer, and what happened? Like it, maybe the email address was in the category for some reason. The email could not be sent to this customer, and the status shows field. Now, if the email was sent properly, then the status would have been complete, or complete or success, something like that, and there's the date and time. And generally, when we are sending the email through journey, and let's say client complains that they are not a limit, particular customer is not able to receive the email, then what we can do, we can come over here and we can check that for this customer, is this status field in a particular journey at this email activity or not. If it is, that it means we can verify that the email was not sent to customer. It means there's some information that we can do, that we can do that, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. This is how we can use the journey history to troubleshoot, and we can also see the history. It will only show the history of last 30 days. It will not keep the reports for the entire time, but just the last 30 days of history you will be able to see at any given point of time, and the filters you can use to filter the history. And out for next we have is health. Let's go to health. In health, basically, we have couple of things that we can check to evaluate the health of the journey. The first thing is that find contact path. Using this, we can get to know, or we can basically track the entire path that was taken by a particular contact. Let's say, I think this is the contact that we have not. Let me click this. This is the contact that we have inside our journey. It will show the entire past. This contact came from the state extension, went to this decision split, went to this too, and it is the contact is at this particular step right now. Similarly, we can check. let's say we have very lengthy journey in which it is helpful. And if you want to track the entire path that is taken, let's say if you are expecting that this customer should take this path, right? Without, placing the, without like logically following the entire path. Is it, happening or not? We can just visualize this, that whether this customer is exactly following the path that we anticipated or not, this is helpful. And here we can also see the details like what is the activity that it went through and what is the current activity that it is here. Let me cancel this now. Next we have is goal. Our goal will be talking about in just a while. And then we have journey counts. Journey count means if we have about the goal and exit criteria, we'll be talking about in just a while. Um, if we have the exit criteria in place and any of the contact is removed from the journey or exits from the journey due to the exit criteria, then it will show us the count over here. We don't have any exit criteria defined. It is not showing. We'll be talking about these two in just a while. And then we have the alerts. Alerts are basically the notifications to the developers that we can see over here, and it talks about how many contacts are going to complete their wait period in like within 60 minutes. Let's say if we have a contact and that is, let's say, waiting for a long time, and it will show whether how many contacts in the journey for whom the wait period is going to over in next 60 minutes. That is the alert that we can see over here. Let me cancel this. Next we're going to talk about the goal and the exit criteria. But for that, we have to get a new version, because in the running version, we will not be able to define these options get enabled when we have a running version, right? Because the analytics we can only see if you have a running version. In the draft version, there cannot be any analytics, right? The health of the journey history, everything becomes applicable when we have a running version. Now I'll create a new version which would be in the draft status, where we will see how we can configure the journey goal and exit criteria. First, we will understand the goal. Goal of the journey is used to measure the performance of the goal. Let's say we have this journey, and the purpose of the journey, like when we are creating a journey, we have some a purpose in mind, right? Let's say this journey that I'm creating, that I can increase my maybe payment rate. What's happening is, let's say we have this event, and what I want to do, let's say this event is on, let's say 1st of March, or maybe let's say it's a holy event right now. What I want to do that, I want, my holy event tickets to be sold, as many as possible, right? What I'll do, I'll be creating this journey, and I'll be sending the email and some SIMs to the, people who are interested in holy events, that they can purchase the ticket from the website or maybe from the email itself, and we'll just, give them the link. That is our goal. Now, let's say if I'm sending the email, or if I'm sending the email and everything from the journey, and how do I evaluate that? Let's say if I have, let's say, 1,000 people in my journey, how exactly my journey is performing, right? I need some parameter to track that. Let's say if let's out of 1,000 customers, 500 customers purchase the ticket. when we send the email communication to them. Through the journey, we will be ensuring that our journey is, really doing well and the goal that we had set. Like we are kind of achieving that goal or our journey successful. But let's say out of 1,000 people only, let's say 2 or 3 people have purchased the ticket. After we have sent the email to them, we will understand that our journey is not performing well and we might need to make some adjustments or changes in the journey that we can achieve our goal right. Goal is very important. Goal is used to evaluate the performance of the journey. That how is it exactly, behaving or performing, how we can do that. The same thing. In the goal definition, what we need to do, we need to basically define a criteria that, let's say, for the same example, let's say out of 1,000 customers, if let's say like out of 1,000 customers, all the customers purchase the event ticket, it means search journey is successful. At that criteria, that for every, I mean, there should be a field, right, in which we have to store the value that whether that person has purchased the ticket or not. Let's say you think I have to create one data extension in which we have a field. Let's say this one, maybe. Let's take this field. This is this field which is presented one of the data extension. What we are assuming is that this is the data extension where we have the data for all the customers, right? Whenever they will purchase the ticket, the status will get updated over here. Right? For each customer, the value could be payment status could be completed or maybe not completed and things like that. Right, what we are saying that whenever for any customer the payment status gets completed, click on done, click on next. And then what we will imagine that that person has basically completed its goal and has contributed to the goal percentage. Here we can say that we want to do. Let's say purchase the, you can take it. That will be our 100% goal achieved. We can basically calculate that out of 100%, how many people have actually purchased it and what is the goal percentage. Now there's one more option, exit option. When the customer reaches the goal, they will exit the journey, and it makes sense, right? Let's say we are sending a series of emails to them. Let's say first email that we are sending and we are talking about this whole event, that this is the whole event, this is at the venue and this is the initial price, and please book your tickets and everything. Now maybe we are going to send another email in which we will be talking about we have very less tickets available, please book the tickets now, otherwise you will miss on this one. Right now, after a few days, we might send a new email saying that now only 3 days to go. Please say, book the ticket and everything like that. If the customer has already purchased the ticket, it doesn't make any sense. Sending the payment like sending these booking emails again and again. When the customer receives the goal, we want the customer to exit the journey, and that's why the customers will not receive any such emails. We can. Let's check this checkbox as well and click on done now. For now, we have to change the rate extension. Actually, this is how the goal criteria works, Rahul. We have you at the goal. We have used to contact data, right? At the entry source, also we need to like a filter. We need to use contact data, right. Contact data we talked about now. Contact data is your live data that will be taken from the data extension at the time of the evaluation. Now let's imagine that. Now you understand the difference between the generate and contact data, right? Yes, Rahul, in the generator, like the value of the payment status will be static, right? Let's say when the customer enters to the journey, let's say the payment status is not completed. It means this person has purchased the ticket. Now it's an email based on that never writes. It doesn't be anything if you take the journey data to evaluate the goal, right? Journey is static data. Let's say when the customers enter the journey, the payment status is not completed. It means the goal percentage will be 0 now at any given point of time in the journey. The data will remain static. It means the goal percentage will always be 0. We have to take the contact data only that it keeps changing based on the live data, like based on the customer's action, and we can evaluate the goal based on the most recent data and not the static data. Rahul, in order to use it, we need to link in attribute group. Then only we can use a right. Exactly. If it is not linked, then we can, then we cannot, right? Then we cannot do it. Perfect. Thank you. Next we have is exit criteria. Exit criteria is very simple and similar to goal only. Here we can give a name. Let's say for the event right here, something. Now we can click on next button, and here also we have the contact data. And let's say here also we mention the same thing that let's say payment status is going to complete. Whatever we have done over there, we are also doing the same thing over here and click on done. And then we can click on next, and we have the summary. You have seen the configuration part is exactly the same. Now, the only difference is that the purpose we define, the goal is, we can do two things over there. First, that we can and evaluate the goal percentage, how many customers out of total have met that their goal or have achieved their goal. If we have sent the email to 1,000 customers and we see that 100 customers have already purchased the ticket, it means we have achieved at least 10% of our goal. That's one thing. And another thing that we can do, we can also eject the contacts or make the contacts exit from journey if they fulfill the criteria, if they achieve the goal. Now the second part, we can achieve through the exit criteria as well, that whenever they meet the criteria, we can basically eject these contacts from the journey. But like with goal, we can do both of the things. But if you only want to remove the contacts from the journey without evaluating the goal percentage, then we can go out with the exit criteria as well. It will just remove the contacts, but here will not be able to get the goal percentage. Let me show you how it looks like. We have. Let me just click without saving. If you see for this particular journey, we have defined the goal as you can see over here, right? And the goal was this thing that the city should not be equals to null. We want all the customer to provide the city value, and city should not equals to be not now all the 6 records that enter into the journey. Like for every customer, the city was not null. Basically, every customer achieved the goal and it was 100%. Here also in the dashboard, we can see that the goal percentage. Let's see for this one, you can see that we had 5 contacts, and out of 5 contacts, I think 3 of the contacts that reached here at the criteria, and the goal percentage was 60%. And I think we have the same criteria over here. Payment status equals to completed. That's the thing. And also you will be able to see over here in the journey health, here you can see the goal percentage here as well, that how many contacts have met the goal criteria. Here in next we have is a exit criteria with a mobile push or something, I think. Event exit credit. We have this mobile events, I think this one. That is an event-based exit criteria. If that event occurs, what will happen that the customer will exit from the journey. Here we can add an event. If this is based on the mobile application, we can create the events for the mobile app. And if the person, makes an event inside the mobile app, and what we can do, we can basically exit the content from the journey. Now we'll come to the journey settings, which is important. In the journey settings, here we have a couple of things. The first thing that we have is contact entry. This one is important, and we have to configure the content entry. This is mandatory. If you do not select any of the content entry, like it will throw us the error and we will not be able to activate the journey. For the journey activation, we have to select any of these, like any one of these content entry mode. Here we have 3 options: no re-entry, re-entry anytime, and re-entry only after exiting. Let's understand each one of these one by one. No re-entry means, let's say, if you configure a journey with no re-entry, the contact is basically identified by the contact key. Contact key is nothing but your subscriber key itself, right? Contact is identified by a contact key. Now let's say we want to set up this journey for maybe let's say for our organization, and what we want to do. that, let's say, each and every employee should only be able to maybe apply for, let's say, maybe a coupon or something for only one time. No employee should be able to claim that coupon more than one time. Once that person enters into the journey, then the same person or the same customer cannot re-enter in the journey again. No re-entry means, let's say we have this entry source over here, right? If we have this, how many contacts are evaluated and things like that, right? Let me show you over here. When the contact approaches to the journey, we have the contact evaluation and contacts accepted, right? What will happen? The code, the same person, let's say, will try to enter into the journey and the system will evaluate that contact. But since we have this no re-entry criteria, because of that, this person will not be able to enter to journey and like it will be rejected from the generate. That is your contact to no re-entry. Next we have is to re-entry anytime. Re-entry anytime is like the simplest one, that the same person can enter at any time and any number of times the same person can enter. And the third one is re-entry only after exiting. Let's say what we are doing is, let's say we have some contest and this person is entering into journey right now. Once this contest ends, then all the same person can, participate again and can come to the same journey again, but only after exiting. Let's say if we have a contest running for, let's say, 2 weeks and we have this journey, we have the journey end date right over here. We have this exit date. The contact will remain there within the journey for, let's say, next 2 weeks, and the contact will exit from the journey, and then only after 2 weeks, like once the contact makes the exit, then only the contact will be able to enter into this journey again. We have three different content in remote. Based on the requirement, we can select any of these. I'll select any one of these three. Next we have is default email address. If you remember that in our automation studio, if we want to select if you want to send the email to customers, what all steps that we take, we basically select the email message that we need to send to the customers, and also at that point of time, we select the audience. Now, when we select the audience, we have to make sure the date extension that we are choosing should have only one field with the data type as email address, because that will be the field that will be used to pick up the value of email address, and then we will use that value to send the email to customers. But with Journey, that's not the case. The data extension that we have configured over here, or let's say if we choose any entry source, there could be possibilities that there are multiple fields with data type as email address. In the journey settings, we get the option that which field we want to use for the email address value. Let me show you over here. When we go to journey settings, here you get the option that from the entry source, like from our general entry, that is a date extension. In this journey, we can select any field which of data type as email address, and the value will be taken from there. For example, let's say the data extension that we have configured over here, let's assume that it has two fields with data type as email address. And here we will get the option to select any one field from where the email address value will be taken. or otherwise what we can do. We can either take the email address value, because at the end of the day, we have to have one email address value to which we can send the email to customers. Now, either we can choose the email address value from the data extension, like from the entry source, or we can also choose the value from the populations. Now, if you remember, we were talking about the data like attribute groups and populations right in Contact Builder. In case of populations, we understood one thing, that here we create one-to-one relationship like in any population. We can only link one data extension. We cannot link multiple data extensions, and in that data extension also, we can only have, let's see, like we would be having a primary key over there, right? And we only have one email address over there. We can also use the population to select the email address value from. Generally, it is used, I mean, in very specific use cases. Let's say the data that we have in our data extension. We have the contacts in our data extension right in our entry source data extension. Now there's a contact key, let's say a contact key 123, but we don't want to use the email address which is storing our data extension, but we want to use an email address which is, let's say, in a different data extension. Now what we can do, we cannot use that data extension. I mean, we cannot use two different data extensions as the entry source, right? What we can do that, another data extension B. We can link it with our population in the contact builder. Now, since we have linked it, like it will be visible over here, and instead of taking the email address from the empty source, we can take the value from the date extension B. Sometimes this also happens that we have the data stored somewhere else for the emulator's value that we want to take. In that case, we can link it with the population. Now, similarly, you can also do it with the mobile number. It will, let's say, if you're sending the sums to the customers, then we have to select the source of the mobile number, that from where we are taking the mobile number value. Either you can take it from the entry source, or you can also take the contacts, I mean from the population. Next we have is Google index tracking. If our system is integrated with Google Analytics, then what happens? Whatever the emails that we are sending to customers, automatically the links will be tracked, and the stacking data will be sent to the Google Analytics, and there we can basically track, and where we can visualize, and where we can analyze this tracking matrix and tracking data. One more thing that is left, which is the test. Let me show you, I think, the test only. Let me see the changes. Once we validate this journey, we will get the option to test the journey as well. Now, in what scenarios we would be testing the journey? Let's see, and here the logic is very simple, right? The criteria is very simple, that if it is Delhi, then it will go over there. If it is City Hyderabad, it will go over there. Otherwise, it will go to remainder branch. But now let's say if we have a complex criteria, or if we have multiple branches and things like that, and we want to test the journey before we activate it, that the customers should go to the right branch and should be going to the right path only. How do we test the journey? We'll click on this test journey button. Either we can click from here. We can also use this test button. Now for the testing, we would be choosing some contacts that we want to test. We'll click on choose contacts, and in our data extension, we have all these contacts, right? Let's say I want to select all for the testing purpose, and I'll click on a summary. Center, do not send messages. Let's say if we have the email message activity in our journey, we can configure that if we want to send the message or not. We don't want to send any message. We are good. And then we have the test behavior. In test behavior, like what? All activities that will be tested. Decision split will be tested. Random spread will be tested, and then and weight by duration will be skipped. We are not going to test the weight by duration. Only these two activities will be tested in this particular test. Now I'll click on summary and click on start test. It will basically give us the result, and basically it will use the list of contacts, and when we click them it will show that what path that will be taken by this particular customer. If we are anticipating that based on the values of this contact, it should take this branch, right? This particular branch, and it is taking the correct branch. It means we are good. Sometimes what might happen, let's say in a decision split, the value of the Hyderabad is incorrect. Now, in that case, it will not take this branch, right? If we test it, we are basically ensuring that it is. The values are correct, the condition is correct, and it is taking the correct path. Only now, let's say if you want to test for the next contact, if it is equals to Delhi, then it is also taking this path, which means this is also correct, Delhi. And then if it is null, then it should take this branch, right? This way we can test the journey before the activation. We have covered almost everything in the journey about the entry sources, activities, and different options and journey settings and everything. Templates are basically the framework or the basic structure that is given to us. On top of it, we can, design a journey. Let's say if we are very starting with the journey and we don't have any idea, and let's say if you have a similar use case, let's say the client says that you have to design the journey, let's say a welcome journey right now. What we can do, we can the Salesforce has already created some of the pre-built templates, and we can use these templates to utilize and to make our journey on top of it. Let's say we want to design a welcome journey. I'll take the help from here and let's click on get started. This is the journey that is created out of the template, and either I can use this journey as a test that is given by the system, or if you want to make any changes, I can do that. Let's say I want to include the engagement split after one email. What are the changes that I want to make? I can make all those changes and I can save this journey, and then I can learn this journey. Now, if you want to create our own template, we can basically click this Save as Template, and then this will be created as our own custom template. Let's say we want to create many templates. Let's say this is the journey that we are using or we are creating every month. What we can do, we can maybe whatever the parts that will remain same in the journey, we can have that as a template, and we will use that template to make other changes in the journey. The journey, I mean, you have the journey, and then you see the journey as template, and then these templates will appear over here under the section of my templates. Let's say this is the template. You can click on get started, and then whatever the changes that you want to make, you can make it over here. You Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.